Welcome to Mending Piece by Piece, a podcast dedicated to helping you mend piece by piece after experiencing loss. I'm your host, Linda Falasco, a therapist with over 30 years of experience specializing in loss and grief and a lifetime of lived experience. I will start by sharing my personal story of trauma, loss, and grief, and will also include honest interviews with others who have experienced loss and who have found strength and growth afterwards. So here we go, giving a voice to trauma, loss, and grief as we learn together to mend, even if it's piece by piece. Please note, this episode contains depictions of death and suicide. We understand that some may find these activating and/or disturbing. Please check the show notes for more detailed descriptions and additional resources. If you or someone you love is struggling with thoughts of suicide, please call the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline at 988. So after none of us getting probably really any sleep, we all got up. I think we just kind of wandered around a little bit trying to figure out what we were supposed to do. You know, do you call everybody now? Do you call the funeral home? What are these steps? I'm 25. I don't know. My parents never had to really arrange someone's funeral either. They don't know. So this is when I guess it started for me. I was like, all right, I gotta take control. I gotta do something. We gotta figure all this out. Now, Jeff was 2 years, 10 months younger than me. And then my youngest brother, Michael, is 9 years younger. Michael was 15 at the time. And Michael wasn't there in the house because Michael was incarcerated at 15. So there was another issue. We had to figure out, one, how we were going to tell him. And my mind was, how are we getting him out? Because there was no way that we were going to have a funeral and he couldn't be there. So I don't remember the order of how any of this went. I'm sure I made calls. The hospital gave me the number of the funeral home, and that's a whole nother story. But the funeral home, there was only one funeral home within a 50-mile radius. So we didn't have a choice where we went. So we used this one funeral home, and I don't remember the name of it. They're not there anymore. But I did call, and we had an appointment. I'm pretty sure it was the next day. So I was the one who went through the phone book and made all these calls. It's a blur. I remember calling some people. I know I called, but I don't really remember it. And I know I had to go back and call when we made the arrangements. But that day, I know I spent saying stupid things. I got to be honest. I learned a lot going through grief. And then now I specialize in loss and grief as a therapist and have had lots of training. And the stupid things that we say when someone passes away, I can remember saying them to my parents. What? Oh, he's in a better place. That one I do. I remember saying that. They're crying and broken. I remember standing in the kitchen saying that. That's okay if someone says that. If I was to say, I feel, he's at peace. He's at a better place. But someone saying it to you, it's not helpful. It's just not. I realize that now. My parents didn't say anything to me. They probably were just so still in shock, and they probably didn't even notice it. Maybe they did. I don't know. That's the one thing after a very traumatic loss like this, suicide, homicide, you go into such a shock, and it takes a long time before that shock wears off, before you really start feeling and thinking. And I mean, you're feeling, but until you really start feeling. So I'm not sure if they remember me saying some of that stuff, but I just remember feeling like I had to do more and make them feel better. That just sounds so trivial and stupid. There was nothing. There is nothing you can say to ease someone's pain at that moment. I know that now. But I know I did go and say, "All right, I gotta do this." My parents just couldn't. They really just couldn't do a lot. They just, to me, remind me of walking zombies. And, you know, I said it before that you're not the same person anymore after something so traumatic like that. And I realized that I didn't have the same parents I had anymore either. So there's another loss. You're going through your loss of the family structure. You're dealing with loss of your parents. They're just not the same. So I did. I decided that let me start making these calls, calling family, calling friends, and then figuring out how I'm going to get my brother home and how we're going to get there to tell him. So that's something I'm good at, to be honest, is you give me a task like that, I'm not gonna stop until I get it done. And we did. I don't remember all the things that I did, but I know I made a lot of calls and probably argued a lot with people and probably cried a lot, and I don't know, but got somebody who was able to say, "Yes, you guys come, and then we'll work on, when you have the arrangements, how we can get him out." So as I was putting this together, this podcast, and trying to put the order of events, I remembered this part of the story that I had forgotten for so long. Are you currently navigating the difficult journey of grief? Are you searching for support and guidance to help you heal? Then listen up, because we have something special for you. Introducing Mending Piece by Piece workbook and journals. They are more than just books. They're compassionate companions designed to support you through your grief journey, one step at a time. These invaluable resources are not just workbooks and journals. They're crafted to honor your grief journey without judgment or impatience. With Mending Piece by Piece, you'll find educational information to help you understand the complexities of loss and grief, shared in a factual yet deeply empathetic manner. Whether you've lost a loved one to suicide or you're navigating grief in general, there's a specific edition for you. Choose Mending Piece by Piece after a suicide loss, guided grief workbook and journal to heal the survivor's heart, or Mending Piece by Piece, a workbook and journal for navigating grief with hope. And the best part? You can find both editions on Amazon and Barnes & Noble, ready to accompany you on your journey towards healing and hope. Remember, your grief journey is unique and deserves to be honored. Let Mending Piece by Piece be your guide as you navigate the complex process of grief and healing. I forgot that I was there with my mom to tell my brother Michael. And wow, I remember now we walked in and there was like a room where we were able to go. And I know that they told him he was getting a visitor, which he didn't think that something was wrong, but he knew it was different because it wasn't during, I guess, regular visitation. But as soon as he saw me, his face lit up. He was so happy to see me and so excited. Michael and I were really we were really close. When he was born, I used to watch him all the time, kind of pretend he was like my baby, and yeah, just we were close in different ways. So he was so excited and so happy to see me. And I remember when we left, my mom saying she was so broken at that because he was so excited because he thought you were just here to see him. And then we had to sit down, just like I was told. Got to sit down. I got to tell you something. And we told him, and he was just like the rest of us, just devastated and shocked, and didn't. didn't understand how this happened. And yeah, the worst part of it is we had to leave him. We had to leave my 15-year-old brother after telling him his older brother died by suicide. We had to leave him in that jail. But I was able to say to him, we're working on getting you out. You will be coming home soon for, we thought just for the funeral. And he was able to get out and stay out for a little bit. So that was good. But that was so incredibly hard telling him and then having to leave. And then when my mom said that, like, I realized it, but then I really felt it. More crying. And I remember going home and making more calls, figuring out what else we needed to do. And the next day we went to the funeral home to make arrangements. And again, we've never done anything like that before. And my parents just kept looking like at me like, what do you think? So I was trying to lead the way here. And the guy was kind of like a little rude, but I don't know. I didn't know what really to expect with him, but he was just like, well, you should do this, you should do that. And yeah, like, I don't know if you really want to waste money on a casket. Like, it was things like that. And it was a little bit much. And I mean, he even made comments about, well, I don't know how he's going to look, so I'm not sure you want an open casket. Just stuff that I don't think I wanted to hear. I definitely didn't want to hear, but I don't want my parents to have to hear this. How he was just abrupt and rude, and I get might not be a good idea to have an open casket, but just the way he said the things was so ignorant and so rude. We didn't have a choice. And that's who we had, this guy. So we decided we're having an open casket. We have to pick one out or just renting it. Apparently, you rent them because if you're having a cremation, you don't keep it. So we're picking all that stuff out, and he told us, like, here's some flowers. You can order flowers, or yeah, I think that's how he said it. Here's the flowers. So we had to pick flowers out right there. I guess they were connected. I do remember picking that out. I still actually have. I picked out a pillow. It was a white satin pillow with lace, and I had 2 roses that would be in it, like on the pillow, like pinned on it, one for me and one for Michael, and it sat in the casket. I do remember that. And I actually have a tattoo on my ankle of that pillow, but in his favorite colors, just favorite colors, purple and turquoise, and it has his name where the sash was, where the roses were. So we did that. We picked out these flowers, prayer cards. I'm not sure what else we picked out. And then we had to discuss a memorial or a service, the type of service. So my mom had already told me that Jeff had befriended a priest, one of the local priests at the Catholic church in the little island that they lived on, and gave me his name. So I was like, oh, I'll go talk to him. And I called, and he was in, and I came to talk to him, and I told him about my brother. And my brother had been doing some community service, or I don't know, some stuff with him. So he knew him, and I asked, I said, I know he wasn't a member of this church. Could you do the service? And again, I don't even know what I'm asking people. Like, I have no idea. I've been to one funeral, and that was quite a few years back. So I didn't know what I was even asking people. So I asked him, and he wasn't the head priest. So he said to me, and then they lived in the Florida Keys. So in the Florida Keys, it's not real big churches and stuff. It's small. And I even remember he had a dog with him. I think the dog had a bandana on. I think it was this priest dog, Father Tony. That was his name. So he said, I got to ask the head priest. And it was just like a curtain. It wasn't like you went into an office. So I'm in the church, like at the front of the church, but sitting in a pew. And the priest was behind the stage or the front of it. I don't know what you want to call it, the altar. She said, I'll be right back. I got to talk to him. And I can hear them. I mean, they're only like 20 feet from me, if that. And he's saying who I was and that I wanted to see if Father Tony could do this funeral for my brother. And this guy says really loud, not Father Tony, the other guy, is that for that boy in Big Pine who committed suicide? We don't do funerals for people who commit suicide. That's burned in my head. That is burned in my head. Welcome to stigma. Welcome to shame. Welcome to dealing with a suicide loss in your family. That's what I was thinking. I'm like, wow. I just put my head down and I was embarrassed. I think Father Tony was embarrassed. I couldn't hear him, but this guy made it loud so I could hear him. He made sure that I heard that. Now, for a lot of people, that could have broke them and they could have walked away from the church. I just was really amazed that for somebody like a man of God, if that's what you call them, or, that's their profession, that they would behave that way. I understand now it's ignorance, it's not knowing, lack of compassion, but that really, really can mess people up. That's just it's more drama on top of it. And yeah, I was glad again, my mom and dad didn't have to hear that. I was glad that I was the one who took it. So he comes out, his dog's following him. And I know he just had this, I think it was like I don't know, maybe it was a compassionate look. Sometimes you feel like it was a pity look, but he had a look, and I was trying to act like I didn't hear anything. He knew I heard. How could you not hear? And he whispered to me, and he said to me, don't worry about it. I'm going to do this funeral for you. We'll just do it at the funeral home. Maybe that's what saved me from not walking away from church. I'm not sure. But I can just say that was just so amazing that he did that. I don't know what it took for him to do that, but yeah, I was so thankful that he said he would do that. So got that arranged. We got Father Tony to speak at the funeral. We have the date now. We picked out flowers. So then I had to call more relatives again and tell them when. And again, because it's the Keys, it's going to be a very small funeral because they had just moved down there a few years before. They weren't down there too long. And yeah, I don't know how long they were down there, maybe 5, 6 years. Yeah, about 5 years. And, all my brother's friends were up here, up north. And back then, like, it's definitely funerals and things like that just seemed different than they are now. But so I called everybody, the family that was going to come, and told them, and everybody was trying to get plane tickets to come down. And then we had to find places for people to stay. But that was probably day 2 and day 3 after my brother passed. And it was a lot. It was a lot. I remember thinking at one point, I don't know if I'm grieving. I don't know if I'm feeling anything. I just felt like I was running and doing. And I did say to my parents, I do remember saying this too. We were standing, I think I was standing in the kitchen, and I said to them, this is either going to bring our family together and bring us closer, or this is going to just completely break us and pull us apart. And I said, I hope that we can just do this together and we could just grow closer and just hold on to each other. Said something like that. I don't know why I said it. I just knew. And sadly, it didn't bring us closer together. It was already, family was already had a lot of chaos and dysfunction in it. And this just added to it. So I do remember trying to like just pull us together. And that's that part of me. And I think part of a lot of children who either lose one of their parents or lose a sibling, they feel the responsibility to take care of. They feel the responsibility to step up and do things. And they try not to feel their feelings in front of their parents. And I say now in counseling with many people that I work with, you're not going to cause anybody to feel sad. You're not going to cause anybody to start thinking about it. This is on their mind. You crying is not going to make someone else cry. Yes, they may cry, but they're already sad. They're already hurting. I wish someone would have told me that stuff then, because I did push some of my grief off. I tried really hard not to cry in front of like my parents, but I think I needed to cry sometimes in front of them. I mean, in those first couple days, I did cry, but I think I was trying to hide it. So where are we at now? I forget what day we're on, probably day 3. And people started to fly in. I think we arranged the funeral to be a few days out so that people could come that were coming. And my parents were able to find a place that they could stay. My boyfriend and my best girlfriend, they were coming. So I at least had some support there. And then I had to, like I said, I had to go and get my brother. I had to get him out. So I was still working on that. And family was coming in. The one thing I got to say I did not like about this whole thing is that, and some close friends of my parents came, is that, yeah, like there was a lot of drinking going on. I guess people didn't know what to do and how to handle it. And that's what they do. And I didn't like that. I'm not very comfortable around it, around addiction all my life. And I just thought, this is one time. Like, can't we just stop? Can't you just not drink? It just really bothered me. Because then people are laughing and that's okay, I guess. I don't want everyone walking around crying the whole time, but I don't know. It just didn't feel right to me. It just didn't feel right. Luckily, when my boyfriend and my friend came, I was able to get out of the house a little bit more. But there was still a lot we had to do. I had to go, and who does this? I guess a lot of people do it, but I had to go shopping for clothes for my brother for in the coffin. Yeah, that was weird. I had to go buy clothes for him to wear. And I remember we're in the Keys. There's not many stores down there. I had to go to Key West. So it's like 30 miles away to Sears. That was the big store. And I'm buying like black pants and like a white top for him, or button up top, and something dressy, because down there it's all shorts, and because he didn't have anything. I don't know, but I remember going and buying that. And then I guess I had my husband or boyfriend at the time bring me stuff, because I'm sure I didn't pack anything. So I remember buying the clothes. That was really strange. And then as people were coming in, I remember my uncle's coming, and I was able to get my brother, like I said, out. And we had to go down again. This is down in like toward Key West, I guess. So it's not really close, but it's not that far. We go to get my brother. And I go in, my uncle goes in. My uncle's only a few years older than me, so we're kind of close in age. And say why I'm there, that I'm, that he's supposed to be released, and they tell me he's not being released. And that, yeah, like, the information I had was wrong or something. And I said, "What do you mean he's not being released?" And I have all these emotions going on. I've been trying to hold all my emotions in so that I could be tough and not tough, but so I could be, like, strong for my parents, let's say, and get a lot of this done. So my emotions decided it was gonna come out there because this person is not listening to me, and I'm explaining what happened again, and I'm explaining how I talked to so and so. I don't remember who I talked to at this point, and this was, they were able to release him, and I was supposed to come at this day and this time, and they were adamant, no. Well, I lost him. I literally lost control and flipped out. Flipped out. And I remember looking at my uncle and him looking at me, and he had a look of fear. Fear, or probably because he probably nobody ever see me like that. And probably because I shouldn't act like that in a jail, because the way I acted, they should have locked my ass right up. I didn't care. I was like, I want my brother out, and you said he was going to be out, and I've just been through this horrific thing, and you're not going to mess with me at this point. I guess that's what I was thinking and feeling. Anyway, I flipped out. They didn't say anything or do anything, to find out that my brother wasn't even there at that moment. They did release him. I guess somehow after I flipped out, somebody heard me flipping out, and they start trying to figure out what's going on. And then I'm told he's not there. And I'm like, well, where is he? And they're like, we don't know. I'm like, well, was he released? Did someone come get him? Well, apparently he was just released. So now we leave. And my uncle does say, I've never seen anything like that in all my life. He said, I was waiting for your head to spin completely around. That's how crazy I was. I'm like, great. Now I'm looking for my 15-year-old brother up and down the highway, Route 1, trying to see him and see where we can find him. We don't see him. I'm like, this is absolutely crazy. And it's before before cell phones. So, like, I can't call. We get back, and he's there. He's there. Here I am, an absolute wreck, thinking I don't know where he's at. And I guess part of me was thinking I can't lose another brother. I don't know, but I was like thinking he was gone. Something happened. He was there. I don't even know how he got there. I don't remember. I don't think he walked the whole way. That's for sure. Probably hitchhiked. Don't know. So thank goodness Michael was able to be there, and we were able to get him home. I was so happy for that. But as you can see, my emotions are all over the place. And again, I don't remember all the time and the details, but now people are coming in, and I'm the one answering the phone and still trying to take care of everything. So the phone rings, and I answer the phone, and it's the guy from the funeral home. Oh, this man. Thank goodness I don't remember his name. Anyway, he calls to ask me if I know where my brother Jeff is. I said, excuse me? He was like, yeah, wondering if you know where where Jeff is, where my brother is. And I said, what do you mean by that? I just really was like, what? I'm like, he passed. He's dead. What do you mean? Where is he? He's like, no, I mean, like, his body. Do you have it? I mean, this is how crazy this guy is. And I went, what? What do you mean? Do I have his body? It's at the hospital. No, this is a couple days later. He's like, yeah, well, no, he's not. He's not there. We don't know where he's at. I just flipped out earlier, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm gonna lose it. I'm gonna lose my mind here. I go, well, what do you mean how do you lose a body? And why would you think that I would have it, or we would have it here? And I remember just saying some crazy stuff myself. Like, would you think I took it? Do you think that I went in the hospital and took it? Yeah. I just, going back and thinking through all this, like, that's just not normal. I mean, I'm already dealing with a loss that's very different, but now I'm dealing with all kinds of other crazy stuff. So after that conversation, I think somebody overheard me, and I remember having to say, "They don't know where Jeff is." Like, and I'm trying to keep this from my parents because I don't want them to know. Like, that just is crazy. I just remember saying, You better just find him and don't call us again." Like, something like that. They found him. I don't know. I didn't even ask any questions after that, but it was just things like that that kept seeming to happen, and I just didn't understand why. It was like, "Is this the way things go?" Like, doesn't seem normal to me, but that is how it went. That's how it was. That's what we were dealing with, just a lot of incompetence and trying to figure things out and trying to grieve and put things together, and it was hard. It was really hard. It's hard for me just being there and, like I said, watching these people, like, thinking they're on vacation or something, as well as, like, I know that they were there to support my parents, but I think they were just trying to, like, let's just try to keep them upbeat and distract them, and that reminds me of how most people deal with grief. It's like, let's not talk about it. Just go out, have a good time, just keep yourself busy. Well, that's just not the way it is. If you don't know what to do, just sit with them. Just sit. You don't have to say anything. You don't have to try to fix it. Just sit. And that's what I wish. I wish somebody would just have sat with them in their grief. I am very thankful for my best girlfriend and Rob, my husband now. They didn't know what to do. They're my age, but they sat with me. They didn't try to fix it. They didn't try to tell me, "Yeah, come on, just cheer up." They sat with it, and I am grateful for that because that's what I needed. Thank you for listening to Mending Piece by Piece podcast. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you did, please be sure to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. If you would like to submit what has helped you heal after loss or ask a question for the Mending Moments episodes, please send a message on social media or through the website. See you in 2 weeks. And until next time, continue mending piece by piece, healing through grief, one step at a time.